All right, cool. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, perfect. All right. So I guess what I'll talk about today is an overview of what we're doing at Galoy, how we're setting things up, what it is, how it started, and kind of where we are right now. Yeah, I think that would be interesting. But if you guys have any other questions or anything about what we're working on, just let me know what makes the most sense to talk about. Yeah, so I guess we can start from the beginning. Galoy started maybe about 3 or 4 years ago in El Salvador, in El Zonte. It started as a sort of a support for the Bitcoin Beach initiative that was happening there at the time. So I guess the backstory is that there's this village in El Salvador called El Zonte, and they had somebody who contributed like 3 Bitcoin worth of funds but the caveat was that they have to create a circular economy. It was for improving the community, but the way they had to do it was just to not give out money, but to like employ people and create initiatives and distribute it through creating a circular economy. So once that got going in the start, like they needed a wallet to do things with locally, and they had some unique constraints there because people, I guess it's not a well-off community. So like, for example, maybe not everybody has mobile data, maybe not everybody has a mobile phone. Sometimes families shares phone, a family shares phones, like things like that. So they started off using, I think, Wallet of Satoshi. And then Nicholas, the guy who co-founded Galoy, he went down there to see what's up, to see if he can help, because he also wanted to build wallet software at the time. And what they ended up doing was saying, okay, let's build this new like Lightning Bitcoin stack that is tailored for communities like this, like, you know, that is built in a way where, you know, it like whatever unique needs they have, it's kind of tailored for that. Yeah, so that's where it came from. And I guess to make the separation clear, there's two like sort of entities. It's Galoy is the tech behind it, and then the Bitcoin Beach wallet, which is now Blink, is the actual let's say an instance of the tech. So it's like Galoy has a stack that is open source and can be deployed anywhere. Anybody can deploy their own version of the Bitcoin Beach wallet, the Blink wallet. But yeah, like as we're the ones who create that sort of Galoy stack, that tech stack, we use the Blink Bitcoin Beach wallet as our testing ground and as our main instance, that sort of thing. So yeah, I guess I can describe what the stack actually is. So it's pretty much a Bitcoin Lightning stack. It's written in TypeScript primarily, but we're switching things over to Rust now. There's a main application that's served via a GraphQL API, and there's a mobile app that consumes that API and yeah, enables functionality through that. There's for now it started off as a phone number based thing. It's custodial, so it's a custodial. In the case of, like, for example, in El Zonte, it was a community custodial thing, meaning that there's an on-chain side and an off-chain side. The on-chain side is controlled. It's a multi-sig wallet that's controlled by folks in the community. And in the stack, there's mechanisms for moving funds from on-chain to off-chain and vice versa, so that you're only ever keeping enough funds hot. You don't want all your funds hot because that's a risk. Yep. So right now, where it is, it's designed for cloud. So it's deployed right now it's Google Cloud Platform. We kind of have moved everything across to be highly automated. So it's that if you wanna deploy, we use Kubernetes, we use Helm charts, we use Terraform files. Like, we try to get it to be as automated as we could right now, and that's something we're iterating on, to deploy the entire stack into, well, for now it's a Google Cloud deployed. It's tailored for Google Cloud, but I guess in the future, if, like, you know, if we're looking at other things, we can change it to be deployed in other places. Yeah, and I guess what else is there? Yeah, so right now that's the Galoy side of it. It's all open source, and I guess we can talk about the Blink side of it now, what we're trying to do with that, because I think recently we've shifted. Like, we were focusing very heavily on making the stack itself sort of easy to work with for developers. And we've paused on that front, and now we're shifting focus now to iterating on the actual API and the Blink wallet. We're trying to expand that wallet now. It started off in El Salvador for El Zonte. It was called the Bitcoin Beach wallet, and now we're sort of taking a different approach where we're trying to expand it and make it more of a global wallet. Reason being that I guess we haven't seen as many people taking the stack or something similar to our stack and deploying it or doing things with it. So we kind of just want to see how far we can push the existing one. There's a few cool things we've added along, like things you don't see in other Bitcoin wallets necessarily. So one is, for example, StableSats. It's a way to lock your Bitcoin balance, any part of your Bitcoin balance, to USD. The way we do it is using derivatives, and there's a whole mechanism behind that. That's a whole separate thing I could talk about. So we have that right in the wallet. The way we present it is that it's like a separate wallet. You have two balances. When you open the wallet, you see a Bitcoin balance, you see a StableSats balance, and you can move things between them. You can send or receive from both sides, on-chain or Lightning. So that's something that's in there. And yeah, I guess pretty much that's it for the stack. I mean, it's the kind of thing where we want people to take a look at it, like use pieces of it to, like, you know, to solve their own problems if they want. We recently, for example, added a Bitcoin bridge. So we used to use, like, for on-chain transactions, we used to use LND just to get up, like, just to get up and running really quickly. LND was our on-chain and off-chain thing, and that got limited very quickly. So we recently wrote an entire sort of on-chain library in Rust, and it uses BDK in it as well. And it's meant to be this sort of layer that you can manage sending, receiving. You have, like, you can do batching, you can do remote signing, you can load in descriptors, XPubs, whatever. You can have multi-sig in there, you can have a bunch of things in there. And it's sort of designed in this way where it can be deployed. Again, it's designed for cloud, so it could be deployed in a scalable way. It can be sort of spun up, spun down, do whatever you want with it. But, like, yeah, for example, that's a thing that we recently worked on. And yeah, I guess that's pretty much in a nutshell the Galoy stack and the Blink wallet and kind of what we're working on and trying to do. And again, yeah, it's all open source, so we encourage people to look at it, use it, contribute to it, fork it, do whatever they want with it. Yeah, it's pretty much that's it. I don't know if anybody has any questions or anything.
Ask you, so you guys have the StableSats functionality.
Yeah.
Can you describe technical?
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
First, like, maybe explain stable coins first.
Yeah, okay, so I can do the whole...
And then maybe comparison to StableSats.
Yeah. Okay, so the question is about StableSats, like how it works and, like, kind of juxtaposing it against stablecoins and what exists right now. So I guess if you want to start from the top, Bitcoin is volatile. If you have, like, units of account, medium of exchange, store of value, if you're dealing with money, right? Most people right now, they have not switched to units of account as Bitcoin yet. A lot of people, their unit of account is still dollars or whatever currency they're using. So what that means is, practically, if you're a merchant or if you're somebody conducting business, your liabilities, your unit of account is in this fiat currency, but if you're like accepting Bitcoin, there's a mismatch. If you have to restock, if you have to do inventory, if you have to pay employees or whatever, it's not the best from a business standpoint to have that sort of mismatch of the asset you're receiving and the asset your liabilities are in. So, like, that's kind of where we started to look into the whole StableSats thing from, is that our wallet is based in El Salvador. It does not have great access to, like, say, US institutions or banks or anything like that. So we needed something that you can do in a fairly, it's not permissionless, but it's less permissioned, I guess. So yeah, so, like, when we were first evaluating how to do this, the options are, if you want to, like, lock some value, like Bitcoin to USD, and we're just talking about USD for now, the options are to, like, the easiest thing is to sell it and just hold the USD in a bank and then reflect that as a balance for a user. Or you can use a stable coin like Tether or something which is pretty much the same thing but one step removed. So Tether is the one who puts the USD in a bank account and they issue this token against it, and then you can use that token. So you're trusting Tether's banking institutions and you're trusting Tether, so that's 2 levels there. The third way to do it is to do sort of this thing that's called a synthetic USD, and the way you do that is that pretty much if you're holding Bitcoin, you're long Bitcoin. And what if you can take the same, like if you think of a graph, right? If you think of like those charts, those price charts, right? And Bitcoin's price is volatile. If the price goes up, right, then the value of your stack goes up. But if the price goes down, the value of your stack goes down, right? So if there was a way for you to take the opposite side of the Bitcoin trade, right? So when the price goes up, you lose money. But if the price goes down, you make money. Then you cancel out that effect. And the net effect is that you're stable against the dollar or whatever asset. And you can do that in different ways. One way to do it is using derivatives. So an example is there's an instrument called it's a perpetual swap. It's pretty much a derivative contract where you can trade, like you can get into these trades, like either long trades or short trades or whatever. So if you want to do a synthetic USD, if you think about it, you're long Bitcoin because you have, like, let's say I have $100 worth of Bitcoin, but it's in Bitcoin, I'm long Bitcoin. If I can at the same time sell $100 of Bitcoin, then I'm short on that side and the long and the short positions cancel out and then you're pretty much even. So yeah, that's kind of what we do using derivatives to create StableSats. And the way we do it is that we use exchanges. So primarily right now we're using OKX, but you can use other exchanges as well. Whenever we have, let's say for example, somebody deposits $100 worth of Bitcoin to their StableSats wallet, we look at that balance and we see, okay, great, there's $100 that wants to be hedged. We'll go onto OKX and hedge it. Just open a short position for that. And then we'll hold that as long as that person has their balance in the USC StableSats wallet. And then as it goes up or down, we'd adjust the hedge to make sure that's always stable. But yeah, the net effect is that you have this sort of managed position type thing. And why that's so like if you look at the trade-offs with that, well, one is that the only thing that you're not dependent on any banking, anything. You're not touching any banks, any financial institutions. You're not dependent on SWIFT. You're not dependent on like any of the traditional banking infrastructure. What you do need though is access to the derivatives markets. So something like a BitMEX or something like OKX or Deribit or whatever. Like whichever platforms have these things, that's where you'd execute your trades. Yeah, and I guess the risk of it, so like whereas with the banking approach, with the stablecoins approach, the risk is maybe getting unbanked. Maybe a regulator doesn't even let you in to start with, so you can't even open a bank account to get it. If you get in, they can unbank you. So that's a risk, whereas the risk with this is more like trading liquidity. So you want to make sure that the place that you're trading on, like you're taking these derivatives from, it's they have enough liquidity that the price tracks sort of closely to the actual dollar, because if it doesn't, then the actual thing kind of starts to diverge a bit. But yeah, that's kind of how StableSats works at a high level.
From like a purely practical viewpoint, you guys have like a position, you have some amount of money with OKX.
Yeah.
It's not like you're taking the users Bitcoin, transferring it to UTX.
No, yeah. No. So yeah, we kind of net it. We net it. Yeah, we have a balance there. We net it and we kind of trade within a band. So it's like it's not every new trade we go and open a trade on OKX. It's like we check the entire bucket of money, and whenever that bucket of money moves outside of a specified band, then we would go and like open a new position or close a position or something. And it could be that we could go days without even changing that position, because if the net is that, like if this person is entering but this person is exiting, then your net position is the same, so your actual bucket isn't changing. So it's not like tied to every action, it's the net actions within a band that kind of determines how we trade that.
Point of view, as soon as what do I do? My Bitcoin balance, I sell it for StableSats?
You just move it to another wallet. So yeah, it looks like so we. Yeah, so you just convert. You can convert it. Yeah, you have two wallets. Yeah, there's two wallets. Like if you open the app visually, you see two wallets in the interface. You see a Bitcoin wallet and you see we call it a USD wallet, and you can choose which wallet to receive to, which wallet to send from, and you can move funds between wallets using Convert. And if you receive to the StableSat side, the USD side, it still comes in. You're still getting Lightning invoices. You're still using on-chain addresses. But like as soon as the funds hit that side, we would see them come in and we'd say, okay, the balance has moved by this much. Let's go and adjust the hedge by this much. Yeah, so it's just like a way of abstracting it like that.
That scenario, to have it like interoperable with other wallets, it's really pretty difficult, right? To have
No, it's right. So it's, if you think about it, it's stable at rest, but it's Bitcoin in flight, right? Versus something like a Tether, it's stable at rest and in flight. Yeah. So like for example, with let's say Taro, for example, like they would need to do the same interchange that we're doing if they want to eventually route like their USDT stuff over like what they're building. Or they would have to have build a new Lightning network that's denominated in Taro USDT to sort of make that happen. So yeah, so that's the way we get around it. It's like literally just USD at the edges, but like for any time it has to move, it turns into Bitcoin immediately and it moves over on-chain or Lightning. And then yeah, when it comes in as on-chain or Lightning, and then like once it's at rest, that's when it stabilizes. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if anybody else has any more questions on anything related to that, but yeah. Yeah. So we have a very loose concept of a roadmap. We sort of look at where we are right now, see what's immediately in front of us, and work towards that. So right now we're focusing a lot on the Blink wallet side of things. So it's improving the usability of that wallet. So like yeah, right now you just see a lot of cosmetic changes, and we're doing things like we added the display currency stuff the other day. We have a bunch of languages in there now. We changed the design of it to sort of better accommodate the StableSats thing, because when we started with the original design, StableSats wasn't part of the thing. So for now it's all user facing kind of mobile app stuff, but on the back end, roadmap wise, we're also doing a lot of things to sort of stabilize our system and make it more easily scalable. Because right now what's happening is that where it started is that the entire application was just in one monolithic TypeScript repo. So you had like your on-chain send and receive, your Lightning send and receive, your ledger, because it's of the way the system is set up, you have to have an accounting system in there. Yeah, like and now even StableSats, it started off in the main TypeScript repo, and like having everything in one in TypeScript is not the greatest thing for like yeah, if you want to scale to a certain number of users, or if you want to like deploy things in different ways, it's just not super great for that. So yeah, like right now what we're doing is we're sort of trying to unbundle the app as well on the back end. So we've already pulled out StableSats, made it a fairly standalone Rust library. It still has a piece that's dependent on Galoy. It still depends on Galoy for its accounting. So what we want to do is change that model as well. So we want to move the accounting for StableSats into StableSats, and then have it communicate with Galoy through a quoting system instead of just like having open access to the ledger on that side. So that's one thing that's on the roadmap, is to make StableSats more standalone, so that somebody could take it and put it somewhere else. They could put it in their own system. You could put it in a Fediment in your own wallet, on your Umbrel maybe, I don't know. But yeah, like kind of make that standalone. And the second thing we're working on right now is a Bitcoin bridge. The same Bitcoin bridge software I mentioned. We're calling it Bria. And it's like unbundling another piece of the application. So it's taken before, where we would have just called like an LND send or receive on chain or whatever, and LND is watching our addresses and stuff. It's really it doesn't scale well for on chain. Now we have this library, and I guess module that's written in Rust, uses BDK, and what it does is it provides an API where an application can just be like, okay, I want a new address, or oh, I have a payout to send, and it just tells it, and then the application this module is the thing that does all the on-chain logic. It does all the block monitoring. It does all the settlement logic. It does the batching. It does the signing, remote signing if you need to send funds. It does retries. It does like a bunch of things, and it publishes events back to the application. So that's the other thing that we're sort of working on and making more robust and making more like feature complete. It's dependent on a few things we're waiting on from BDK still, but yeah, that's something else. And I guess in like a little bit further in the future, we're looking at, I guess, well, this is backend again. Like I'm talking a lot backend because I work on the backend, but it's to like kind of separate out the same ledger thing I was talking about. Like we use a ledger in the application that's like in MongoDB and with TypeScript and stuff. It's not great for like, it's good for what it is, but it's not super sophisticated, and we're starting to like need more out of a ledger now. So we're writing our own ledger again in Rust, and we're gonna like deploy that, and it's gonna use like a more like I guess rich model for keeping account of things. So that's another thing we're working on the backend right now to have as a separate module again that you could just pull out and use wherever. You don't need to use it in a Galoy thing. So yeah, it's kind of just unbundling the entire stack and putting it in separate places and making them reusable in different contexts. Yeah, pretty much that's it. Oh yeah. So like because all our stuff is open source, we encourage people to sort of make it their own. So even if you can't like run the first thing that you can try to do is, I guess, run your own instance. Just be completely independent of us. Deploy your own Galoy stack, use the mobile app, or write your own app against the API, or just write anything against the API and have your own thing like completely independent. It's not easy right now. Eventually we want to get it to be at a sort of a one-click kind of get your own instance up thing, but for now it's not that easy just because of how it's set up. So the next thing folks can get involved in is just like messing with the currently deployed instance. So our Blink wallet, the mobile app is open and the API is open. So if anybody wants to go and make changes to the mobile app, recently we we added RSD as a currency. We some folks here translated the entire app into Serbian and Croatian, and we got those into the app as well. So that's all in there. Yeah, so I would say if that's a good way as well. If you see things that you think, oh, I could use this makes sense. Another thing that's coming up is bolt cards, NFC, NFC withdraw, bolt cards. That's coming up pretty soon, I think this week. So things like that, where it's features and stuff, because it's all open source, you can literally just if you don't want to make a whole separate wallet, you can just go and add things to that if you wanted. And I guess also, I was going to say something else, but now I can't remember. Oh yeah, the API. So the API is also open. It's a GraphQL API. So you don't even need to use the app to use the system. We have people who took the API and made invoicing solutions. There's different things you can do with the API to interact with our users or any users. So that's also another option, just to make things against that. Yeah, I'd say that's the three things that make sense. And I guess, yeah, we've done a lot of work on a lot of these things. If you see something that you think makes sense for your own system, for example, I think Fedi and they were looking at the StableSats thing as a module that they could maybe pull in at some point, things like that. We've already figured out a lot of stuff, so if it makes sense, reuse it for something else. Yeah. Yeah.
Any questions?
No, we're good. All right.